Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Finally, senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends. And welcome to this, a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. And if you're I can speak English. If you are a bigot, that is a terrible character flaw. Thumbs up. Not for the bigot part, but just for being alive. That's a good thing. Now, one thing, I don't know if you can hear it, but yesterday I talked about how loud things were. I had my box fan on, which I have on right now, and over on the wall there is a unit that is a fan and pumps air out. And it was loud yesterday. And when I went into editing, I couldn't hear it. Right now it is super loud in here to me. With my box fan, 4 settings, technically off, 3, 2, 1. And I've got it on 2, so it seems pretty loud to me. And then that thing up there is a dull roar, so yay. Anyway though, right off the bat, I've lost where it was. I clicked off on my text file here. I wanted to, first off, I do play the internet game of Marco Polo, where I say the secret word and then ask people to type it into the comments. And the people that played along with me last time are Jesse Koskinen, thumbs up and thank you very much. Gus Garrett, 6838, greatly appreciated. And Big Fart, 275. Thumbs up. Greatly appreciated, each and every one of you. It is a silly little thing that nobody has to do, and the fact that you take time out of your day to do so, greatly appreciated. Thumbs up for that. Now, one of the things I sort of want to talk about here, just because it's a current event that has big ramifications, but it's not something that's world-shaking or world-ending. It's about Nintendo stuff. I am glad that they are coming out with a new console. I mean, I actually like console stuff. I don't want consoles to disappear. Yes, they are stunted. They are a PC stripped down to a smaller way with much bigger restrictions, and so you've got to be tighter on them. But that's great. I think that's awesome. I love that. Ever since I broke down and bought my PSX, my my PS1 back in 1996, I think consoles are awesome. I'm sorry my PS4 and my Xbox One both died. I wish I had them back. But I think it's good. Issue is, I've been seeing online, there is a huge thing going on with Nintendo pricing. Especially here in the United States, with tariffs, going up and down and up and down, and will he, won't he, is he not, and yes he is, and oh, we're throwing tariffs on penguins, and it turns out, oh look, when they say that all these people are using tariffs, no they're not, they're lying, that chart had nothing to do with reality. So we are doing tariffs for no good reason. And this one fellow who is an oil and gas expert is still now gets called to do things around the world about oil and gas and talks about oil and gas and what's going on. And he's talking about what's happening. It says, there's one way to tell exactly why this whole tariff thing is going on. And he said this the day, I think it was the day before yesterday, where I was like, watch tomorrow. See if the stock market's going up and see what they do. And the stock market was making a recovery. And what happened? The announcement came out of a tariff thing that killed the growth of that stock market coming back. Because the tariffs aren't about tariffs. The tariffs are about power and control. Thumbs up. But with that going on though, with all this huge economic uncertainty going on in the world, and especially the economic problems that are going to hit here in the U.S. here at any moment, as well as around the world, because it's in Spain where we got to see a big bad thing happen. Nintendo is bumping up the price on everything. $60 for a game. Yes, prices should go up because inflation. It shouldn't be like $130 or anything, but yes, it should be going up a little bit more. But the fact that we have such low wages, you bump it up much further than that and no one would have been able to buy your product. Well, now it's being bumped up to such a degree, I don't know that anyone's going to be able to buy the product. $80 for a game? And if you want the physical version, $90 for a game? I don't think they're going to sell. Because as this one person pointed out, you know, you could go into a store and you're faced with a choice of you've got 3 games that you could buy for $60, and that's $180. But now you bump up the price to $80 or $90. They're not going to buy 3 games. They're going to go, oh. And then you're going to buy 1. So there you've lost 2 sales to gain $10, $20. And you may have turned that customer into someone who's going, I'm not buying anything more for this console. And of course, all the rest of the gaming environment out there has been waiting with salivating jaws, bated breath, and trembling claws so that they could start bumping up prices too. No one's going to be able to afford anything. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it's a good console. I hope things work out. I don't want things to go bad. I've never been a Nintendo person. I don't really like Nintendo products or characters or, you know, anything like that. I'm not a Nintendo person. But I don't think they should be, you know, being idiots so that things happen bad. I want things good to happen for everybody. When things are good for everybody, things are good for everybody. And when they're not, past that, I had my cardiac stress test follow-up results today. Everything is great. My heart is in very, very, very good shape. And even though I had an ultrasound of my chest before where they said I had a blockage, now, especially with the stress test results, they say, no, there's no evidence of any kind of blockage. Your heart's in great shape. So, good. Now, bad part. About 5 months ago, I got sent over to the city of Olympia, where I live 20 miles away from, in the tiny little town of Shelton, to get ultrasounds done of my legs. The last time I went in for the cardiac test, or a cardiac talk with the doctor, I said, hey, any results from that? And they said, oh, we'll have to see if we can get those results back. They still haven't. Why bother getting an ultrasound of my legs if no one's going to even look at them? I don't even know what or where. So hopefully, when they said we're going to try and get them, they'll actually get them. I'd like to know what's going on. And I got sent there for like hours for a test that cost the VA a lot of money. It'd be nice if somebody got the results, I would think. But past that, taking a look over here, because I wish I still had a happy story I could give so far about what I'm doing about the physical placement of these cards. I don't have anything to put these in still. They're just over here on the side of my desk. I went to Walmart last night specifically to see if there was any small desk-type accessory thing that I could put those in. I couldn't find anything. I'm going to go check over at Fred Meyer's / Kroger But the Fred Meyer's in our tiny little town here is primarily a food place. It is so weird. Way back 30 years ago, when I lived up in Bellingham, Washington, we had the Fred Meyer's there. And they had a major expansion to add groceries to it because it was everything but groceries. You bought everything but groceries there at the local Fred Meyer's. And then they got the groceries edition, so it was like a huge store and then a huge addition to it for the big Fred Meyer's. Ever since then, every Fred Meyer's I've gone to has just been groceries with a little bit of extra stuff on the edges. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they'll have anything that I can put those in. I wish I could find something. I don't want them to get lost and thrown around. So here's hoping. And as you can see, I've been waving my arms around like I just don't care. Now, let me tell you, I do. Last night, I did something. And on this side, between my spine and my shoulder blade, but down lower than where it would have been for nerve compression, I had a knife go in my back there. And, oh, this entire side went not good. And that lasted, well, until I went to bed. But I went to bed at least, like 45 minutes early. But yeah, I was very careful, and it was very painful. And I woke up to take a shower this morning. That dagger was still there. Not now. So I still have to be super careful. I mean, right now, because of what's going on with my right side, I've been using my left side as my workhorse arm. But if my workhorse arm goes down while my other side is recovering, what do I do? Well, I already know I don't do anything at all, and when I have to, it's painful and awful. Yay! I don't want to make anything sound too depressing because, I'm still waving my arms around like I just don't care. I'm surviving. Yeah, the quality of my life has been impacted severely in a very negative way. Just like when I injured my back, just like other times. Life happens. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm staggering under the weight of all these burdens. No, the point was just life happens. And you deal with it. You work around it. You have to. Bear your battle scars with pride. Life tries hard to kill you. Now, I've been trying to get this done fairly quickly. I don't know when they're going to start coming through and doing this stuff. It's 11 o'clock, but I was told yesterday and this morning that they were going to be coming through and doing drilling the concrete for the door stops so that the doors don't just go whoa all the way open and then break the door frames, because that's happened to a couple people. So they're going to drill door stops and screw door stops into the concrete outside so that the doors go bam into the door stop. Good. Good. Plus, they're going to be going into the bathrooms and putting in at least one grab bar. They have some combination toilet roll and grab bars that they're going to be putting in for some of the places. And it's literally that. It's a grab bar, but instead of just ending down here, it has a further loop and then comes down into a toilet roll holder. Oh, okay. I mean, that's fine. I'd rather just have the grabber, but I'm not going to live here forever. Or if I do live here forever, it's only going to be here till I kick off, and then they're going to rent the place out to somebody else. Now, here's something that I wanted to talk about as well real quick. They told us here that this is kind of a success story, and they really want to make it a success story place, because where we are, not only did they think it couldn't be developed, that we wouldn't be able to develop it, but that it was undevelopable. Is that a word? Undevelopable? I think it might be. Anyway, though, and I wondered why that might be. Well, found out at one of our community meetings that one of the reasons that this place was considered to be undevelopable is like for the past 100 years or so, street sweepers and such like that have used this area as their dumping ground. And so the whole area was just contaminated. And so what they did, instead of just building on contaminated dirt, was the city came in and started hauling out all the contaminated dirt. And they kept hauling and then checking for contaminants and hauling and checking until there was no more contaminants. And then they started hauling in clean dirt. I wondered why, at the parameters of this place, everything is nasty. There's just broken stone and chunks of concrete, and it's just horrific when you go back and you look. And I wondered why it was all nasty. Well, that kind of makes sense if it was just used as a dumping ground. And as for the larger pieces of concrete, we still have scattered all over town like old pipes made of concrete just in the middle of a forest with coated in just mounds of moss. And they're just big old concrete pipes that were left there. It's a little place. It's a 10,000 people here in Shelton. And, you know, not all of those people live within Shelton city limits, of course. But, yeah, it's not that big. And I used to live in Bellingham, Washington for like 40 some odd years. But after I got married, I moved to the town where my wife was born and lived with her parents. And so we lived in her parents' house for a while. And then after her heart went bad, we moved to an apartment in Olympia for a year. Bought a house in Shelton, paying for the house. And then a couple years after that, she died. And then the house was taken away from me because I couldn't pay for it on just my disability. And then things have gone downhill from there. Renting in a house in southern Shelton and then going homeless. And then here I am in this veterans village for formerly homeless veterans. I never thought I'd be homeless. That was kind of a shock and a surprise. It really knocked the underpinnings out from underneath me. That even though it's over a year now that this occurred, you know, my first time that I became homeless, I still have not really found my center and my base. I'm not worried about meaning and purpose. I am a positive nihilist. Nothing matters. None of this matters. You know, it's all pointless. We're all going to die. There is no meaning. The human existence means nothing more than any termite's existence, which means no more than any speck of dirt's existence. Nothing matters. But I'm also one of those that says, because nothing matters, everything matters. So, yeah, nothing matters except how we treat other people. Things don't matter. Yeah, these are cool, but I used to live before I had them, and it didn't bother me when I didn't. They're just things, and things come and things go, and we arrive and we live and then we die, and we give our carefully hoarded resources back to the world. Our little speck of the universe staring back out at itself turns off. But in a way, you know, of course, we never stop really existing. After all, the final breath of air of Julius Caesar is still circulating. Our star was formed from other stars, our planet formed from stardust, and here we are. Yay. But is there anything else that I've got written up there? Yes, quite a bit. But am I going to talk about it? Not really. A lot of it is about the solo RPG setting. In fact, as I was walking to my appointment this morning, I was thinking about all of my settings and such like that, and the travel and how big places are. I talk about the port settlement town of Tuathic, where the character Denthel, from the smaller village of Komat, moved when he was old enough because his thrill seeker and adrenaline junkie genes are hyper activated, and he's looking for adventure. And Komat gave danger if you just want to leave your weapons and armor behind and walk into the forest at night. Yeah, you got plenty of danger for one night, and then no one ever sees you again. But that's not what he wants. He wants adventure, something to get his blood pumping, his adrenaline going, maybe the risk of death, but not just danger. And so heads to Tuathic and then down to the smaller place of Nagrad. But Tuathic is a Habani place, and Habani are more urban dwellers, because the Apani live in farming communities of about 200-ish farming families. And the Orkani live in their loose tribes with their borders that they travel within, so they don't over-harvest, they don't over-forage, they don't over-hunt. Be good to the earth will be good to you. The Habani are more urban. They like to build places like cities, except towns and cities of the Habani, because of how everyone has to live in accordance with nature and such. Instead of being like our cities, which are tight around areas of resources like water, the Habani areas, a small place like this, let's say 500 people in a small village, would be about this big, with houses not in the exact shapes we have because, oh, we'll just build it around this tree, or we'll just have the tree in the middle of it. They don't clear a lot of things because they want to live with things. So there will be large areas of just forest in the middle of their urban areas, but they are places that are big enough to sustain an ecosystem, but not large enough to sustain a large apex predator. They want to live in accordance with nature. They don't want to be eaten by lions. So the places are larger, more spread out, much more naturalistic, instead of a human place, which would be much tighter and much more, we're going to tear the place down and put up the stuff that we want. And then, of course, going down to Nagrad, it's when Denthel, the young Habani, went down to Nagrad and was staying in one of the day houses, which, even though it's got the name of day house, is where you live kind of hotelish, motelish. You rent a room so that you can sleep for the night in the day house. And then there's the longhouse where you can go in, and it's kind of pub-like. They serve food and drink pretty much all the time. You come in, pay a price, you get a plate and a mug, and you can eat and sit at a table and be with your friends. And if you wanted to eat small amounts, you could stay there for quite a long time. Unless you are trying to abuse the privilege, they're not going to kick you out for eating. Okay, it's 24 minutes in. I better cut this off before nobody watches at all. Call to action: if you could like, comment, share, subscribe. That would be very cool. Definitely a thumbs up. Oy vey. And if you are a Patreon patron, you are beautiful and awesome in every way conceivable. 4 of those are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. If you've left me a comment, you too are beautiful and awesome in your own fashion. I read every comment that YouTube shows me. I thumbs up or heart every comment that YouTube allows me to, and I answer as many as my nerve compression and nerve scar tissue from where I severed the radial nerve some 8 years back. That is, oh my God, so much trouble when this goes bad on this side. But I do as best I can. My GERD is kicking in, and it's a burning. I gotta make an appointment so I can get something for that. I'm going to edit, render, upload, take care of myself the rest of the day. I still got some phone calls that hopefully I can make. No guarantees in the slightest, but I'm going to try. Hopefully you can get done the things that you would like to get done. And if not, please do not beat yourself up. Don't be like me. Don't beat yourself up, because it's not going to help you get it done better next time. And you, frankly, yeah, I can English. I promise you. I'm not just a robot pretending to be human. Quite frankly, you deserve better. Thumbs up for that. So yeah, part of taking care of myself is finding a way to store these to actually play it finally, because everything is so spread out and chaotic. I'm afraid to play it for fear of getting all the parts mixed up, which is just cards. So yay on that. But that's what I got in store for me. So until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very, very good thing. Yeah, I have absolutely no words of wisdom. I said it before, I'll say it again, but it's just words of wisdom I have not. Words of foolishness have I many, especially when at 27 minutes and change into this, I realize I forgot entirely to use a secret word. So if you could just put in a secret word of your own choice and choosing into the comments for blatant engagement farming, that would be very cool. Then also I'll know who watched to the very end. Thumbs up and you take care.